Basically, it started from a very humble beginning. It started with me, no science, no technology, no money, no funds. Because originally it started as all sales and marketing. Obviously, when you don't have anything else, you rely on the attributes that you have. It was about the 5th year where I managed to get enough funds to begin to get real scientists in the company. I mean, we were hiring scientists as salespeople, but real scientists to begin to develop products. By the 10th year, we had certain products of our own, and by 15th year, we were well on the way, and the company completely went through metamorphosis, where we went from a sales and marketing company to a scientific company. Today, I am very proud to sort of say, in certain areas of this industry, we lead the world, we lead the science. And the main thrust and concentration of the company is all science now. Sales, marketing, finance, everything else comes secondary and tertiary. Day one, I didn't even know where I was going, what I was doing. That's the truth. I like to say I knew exactly, but that, people write about that sort of thing, and I always think it's nonsense. Day one, you don't know where you're going. But clearly, after 2 years, I knew that if I am to dedicate my business career to this field, it has to be science-driven. The biggest challenge for me, always, not just in the past, in the recent, has been finding quality people. The great assets of any company is people. And good people are difficult to find. I don't care which segment of the business you talk about, be it researchers, be it salespeople, be it finance and all that. And that is always being difficult, and I'm sure if us or any other company could find all those extraordinary quality people, their progress would be much faster and higher. But for the industry, naturally, the economy, I know it sounds cliche, but that's a fact, and geographical disposition. Markets are moving, so you have to be dynamic and keep up with in areas and cultures and markets that you are not as familiar with, and make sure that you are there, etc. And that takes a bit of doing. The low-hanging fruits certainly gone. They don't exist. The chromatography, separation science is a very mature market now. It's not like when I started. And to keep up with all those dynamics of developing good science, reaching the scientists out there and the customers, and being in environments that you are not familiar with is a challenge for any company, obviously. A lot of people talk about that sort of thing, 10-year programs and 20-year programs and all that. I personally think they're rubbish. I think you can't, especially in today's age, with world of science and technology, I'm not talking about our science, moving so fast, you can't even predict what's going to happen in 3 years from now. Not economically, not geographically, not technologically, etc. Therefore, if I had to look the furthest, it would be 3 years. I personally think being an architect has helped me enormously in this field. I'm not sure if I would have been as successful if I had remained in architecture. Very tough field, obviously, just like everything else. But sometimes it's good to come and see things from a different angle. And as you say, I've been to many companies, competitors, suppliers, customers. Generally, they're grey, they're boring, they're too scientific and all that. And one of the things you learn about architecture, or at least if you listen to the philosophy of architecture, is the working environment. And I find it incredibly important to pay such enormous amount of attention to that. People spend easily 1/3 of their working day, but at Phenomenex probably more like half of their day at the company. So it may as well be beautiful, it may be pleasant, it may lots of light. I'm not talking about artificial light, I'm talking about in any of our companies, anywhere you walk, there is always, you will see natural light. You have to see, the human being has to see the daylight rather than being stuck in a cubicle and with some fluorescent lighting. To add art and everything else, things that are artifacts that make the environment pleasant. Why not? A lot of people think it's a waste of time. I don't. The day that I knew we are number one in HPLC consumables. I used to get all the leads and cards from various magazines those days. This is going back 10 or 12 years ago. And everything always had to come to me because I was so delirious in learning. If I counted 1,000 cards, how many times you see Phenomenex and how many times you may see company A or B or C. And I could see it gradually. It's more hits for Phenomenex. And after about 3 months, the difference between Phenomenex hits and other competitors were by huge margins. And so I remember I was jumping with joy, and because we had a goal to reach that mark, or be number one, at least in that arena, by a given time, and I think we got there about a year earlier. So that was one of the moments where it gives you a boost of confidence. Customer service, technical support, delivery, quality, speed, dynamics, and how fast you can provide the information, how human. You will never, even now, for example, if you called into Phenomenex, you will not go into orbit and get some voice, electronic voice. You will be speaking to a human being, and you will speak to somebody that you know. All those things, every one of them, added value to where we are today. I like to think I'm perfectionist, and sometimes I'm a pain in people's necks, but I am. I set the standards very, very high in personal life and clearly Phenomenex. Friendship, camaraderie, all that. I like to think that's how I have always behaved, that's how I am normally. I get to my desk latest 8 o'clock, but as early as 6:30, depending on how much I slept the night before. I'm not a great sleeper, unfortunately. I write notes in the middle of the night, and that has been how I've been since I was very, very young. Being able to get involved in philanthropic work is absolutely fantastic. It's part and parcel of who we are, and not just in our headquarters, in all our offices, wherever we are. Not only do I love it, I think all the staff, their families, thoroughly enjoy it. And it's really now gained a life of its own, and I can't even control it anymore. It's fantastic. It really is. Actually, I regret not being an architect enormously. I do. Every opportunity I get to get, unfortunately, I don't know how to work the CAD. I'm from the old school, never learned it. Every opportunity to get to my drawing board as an excuse, I will. Unfortunately, as the company has grown to this size, but I don't get as much of a chance. But all the Phenomenex buildings in US or abroad, almost all of them I designed, sometimes with the help of one or two others, to implicit details. Homes of some of even not complete homes, but at least renovations of them, of even some of my colleagues. So I do miss architecture enormously. I don't know whether, I never thought about any other career, but if all was good, perhaps I would have loved to continue with architecture.